There are moments in life that change you forever, moments that divide your existence into a before and an after. For me, that moment came in a cold hospital hallway, under flickering fluorescent lights, while nurses hurried past without looking at me. That night in the hospital, I understood that the most painful words aren't the ones that are screamed. They're the ones whispered with coldness, in front of strangers who look down uncomfortable, pretending they heard nothing. "Mom, my wife only wants family here." My son's voice sounded distant, like it was coming from far away, even though he was standing just 3 feet from me. I searched his eyes, the same eyes I saw open for the first time 32 years ago, the eyes that used to look at me with adoration when he was a child, the eyes that were now avoiding mine, as if he was ashamed to even see me. And then, while I was searching for any sign of regret, any glimpse of the son I knew, Michael finished the sentence that would break me in two. "Don't push it. She has never liked you." The world stopped. The sounds of the hospital faded to a distant murmur. The footsteps became echoes. And I just stood there, in that hallway, feeling something inside me break without making a sound. 12 hours on the road. 12 hours sitting on an old bus that smelled like diesel and stale food. 12 hours staring out a foggy window, watching towns and mountains and endless highways pass by. All while I imagined this moment, the moment I would finally meet my grandson. I had planned every detail in my mind during the entire trip. I imagined what it would be like to hold him for the first time, what his little head would smell like, how his soft skin would feel against my cheek. I imagined Michael's eyes shining with emotion as he introduced me to his son. I imagined Valerie tired but happy letting me help her. I imagined so many things, but I never imagined this. I never imagined my own son would look at me like I was an intruder, like I was a problem to be solved, as if my presence, after a 12-hour trip, after a lifetime of sacrifice, was just an annoyance. The first cry I heard from my grandson came from behind a closed door. A small, fragile, beautiful cry, and I was on the other side, like a stranger who wasn't allowed in. I thought about all the times Michael cried as a baby, how I would rock him for hours in the middle of the night, walking barefoot on the cold floor, singing him little songs I made up, promising him everything would be okay. I thought about how his father slept soundly while I held our son against my chest, feeling his cries turn into sighs, and his sighs turn into sleep. I thought about the fevers, the runs to the hospital, the fears that only a mother knows. And now that same son, the man I had held when the world scared him, was telling me I wasn't welcome at the most important moment of his life. My name is Linda Miller. I'm 61 years old. I was born in Chicago in a house with a big yard and maple trees. I grew up helping my mother in the kitchen, learning to make everything from scratch, listening to her advice about life and love. I married young at 22 to a good, hard-working man, a man of few words but a steady heart. We had Michael when I was 25, and from that day on my entire life revolved around that little boy. When my husband died, Michael was 15, a sudden heart attack on a random Tuesday. He left without saying goodbye, like someone closing a door without a sound. And there we were, Michael and I, trying to understand how to go on without him. I sold the business. I worked whatever I could. I cleaned dental offices at dawn, my hands smelling like bleach and disinfectant. I worked reception in the afternoons. I'd come home with swollen feet and an aching back, but always with a smile for my son, because he was my reason for being, my engine, my everything. And now, my everything was looking at me with eyes I didn't recognize. I stayed silent in that hallway, not because I didn't have words. I had thousands. I wanted to scream that I had traveled 12 hours. I wanted to remind him of everything I had done for him. I wanted to ask him when he had turned into this man who treated me like garbage. But I said nothing, because my mother taught me that sometimes silence has more dignity than any word. I nodded slowly. I swallowed. I felt the tears burning behind my eyes, but I didn't let them fall. I wasn't going to give anyone that satisfaction. I grabbed my worn-out leather purse, that dark brown purse my mother gave me for my 30th birthday. "So you can carry it during all the important moments of your life," she said, and boy had I. That purse was with me when Michael was born, when he graduated from college, when he moved to New York City, and now it was with me for this humiliation. I turned on my heel. I didn't say goodbye. I didn't say congratulations. I didn't say anything. I just walked, one foot in front of the other, down that infinite hallway of Mount Sinai Hospital. The fluorescent lights flickered above me. The smell of disinfectant made me dizzy. I heard distant voices, laughter from other families celebrating births, cries of babies, announcements over the intercom. I walked past other grandmothers holding their newborn grandchildren. I saw them smiling, crying tears of joy, taking pictures. I saw them being part of something beautiful, and I just kept walking. I got out of the hospital at 9 at night. The cold February air of New York City hit my face. I stood on the sidewalk watching the taxis pass, watching people go in and out of the hospital, watching life go on as normal while mine was falling apart. I didn't know where to go. My bus back wasn't until the next afternoon. I had planned to stay for several days, to help with the baby, to cook for Michael and Valerie, to be useful, but there was nothing for me to do there anymore. I took a taxi to a cheap hotel I found online, a small room with thin walls and a squeaky bed. I could hear laughter from the hallway, loud TVs, couples arguing. I sat on the edge of that strange bed, and I finally let the tears come. I cried like I hadn't cried since my husband died. I cried for all the broken expectations, for all the destroyed illusions, for that grandson who was just born, who I wasn't allowed to meet. But most of all, I cried for my son, for the little boy who used to hug me tight and say, "I love you, Mommy," before bed, for the teenager who cried in my arms when his father died, for the young man who promised he would always be there for me. Where did that son go? When did he become this man who saw me as a burden? I barely slept that night. I just stared at the stained ceiling of that cheap hotel, listening to the sounds of the city that never sleeps, thinking about everything that had gone so wrong. At 6 a.m, I got up. I took a long shower, letting the hot water wash away some of the pain. I got dressed with care. I put on the navy blue dress I had brought especially for this occasion. I put on makeup even though no one would see me, because I wasn't going to let anyone see me look defeated. I went down to the small hotel diner, watery coffee, and a hard pastry. But it didn't matter. I wasn't hungry anyway. I spent the day walking through the city, aimlessly, just walking, looking at shop windows, sitting on park benches, watching families pass by, mothers with their children, grandmothers with their grandchildren, entire families, happy, together, and me, completely alone. At 4 p.m, I went to the bus terminal. I sat on a plastic bench to wait for my bus. There were other people waiting too. An old woman reading a magazine, a young man listening to music, a family eating sandwiches and drinking soda. They all had somewhere to go. They all had someone waiting for them. And I just had an empty house in Chicago. The bus left at 6, another 12 hours on the road. But this time I wasn't staring out the window imagining happy moments. This time I just saw my reflection in the dark glass. A 61-year-old woman, tired, sad, alone. I wondered if Michael had even noticed I was gone, if he even cared, if at any point he thought, I should have treated my mother better. But something told me he hadn't. Something told me that right now he was perfectly happy with his new family, with his wife, with his son. And I was just an uncomfortable thought he preferred to forget. I got back to Chicago at 6 a.m. The sun was just starting to rise. The streets were empty. I took a taxi to my house. When I opened the door, everything was exactly as I had left it. The coffee mug I didn't wash before I left. The previous day's newspaper. The silence. A silence that used to be peaceful, and now was just lonely. I dropped my suitcase on the floor. I hung my leather purse on the hook by the door. I made myself a coffee and sat at my kitchen table. The same table where Michael and I used to eat breakfast when he was little. The same table where he did his homework while I made dinner. The same table where... Now, I was completely alone, and it was right there, sitting in that familiar kitchen, drinking coffee that tasted bitter. When my phone rang, it was an unknown number, New York City. For a second, my heart leaped. I thought, it's Michael. He regrets it. He's going to apologize. I answered with a trembling voice, "Hello, Mrs. Linda Miller." It wasn't my son's voice. Yes, this is she. "Good afternoon, ma'am. We're calling from Mount Sinai Hospital, the billing department." My blood ran cold. "Yes, we have an outstanding balance on the account for the birth of your daughter-in-law, Mrs. Valerie Miller. The health insurance covered most of it, but there was an outstanding balance of $2,500 for the type of room they requested and some special medications that were not covered by their policy." $2,500. Your son, Mr. Michael Miller, provided your number as the emergency contact for payment issues. Emergency contact for payment issues. Not to meet my grandson, not to be present, to pay. "Ma'am, are you listening?" I felt the coffee cup grow cold in my hand. My heart was beating slowly, very slowly, and in that moment I understood everything. Michael hadn't given the hospital my number because he wanted me close. He gave it to them because he needed my money. He needed me, the invasive mother, the unwelcome grandmother, to pay his bills. "Mrs. Miller, can you make the deposit this week? If not, we will have to move the account into a legal process that could affect your son's credit history." I took a deep breath, a very deep breath. I thought about all the things I had paid for: his college at the University of Illinois, the books, the deposit on his first apartment, the new suits for his job interviews, everything, always everything. And I never asked for anything in return, only love, only respect, only a place in his life. But he couldn't even give me that. "Ma'am?" My voice came out calm, calmer than I expected. "I have no family there." There was a silence on the other end. "I'm sorry." I said, "I have no family in New York City. You must have a mistake. I don't have a son named Michael Miller." "But ma'am, our records clearly state that you are the patient's mother and that—" "Your records are wrong. Good day." And I hung up. I put the phone down on the table with shaking hands. My heart was beating so loud I could hear it in my ears. The tears were burning, but this time I didn't let them fall, because something inside me had changed, something that had been bending for months, maybe for years. It had finally broken, but it didn't break toward pain. It broke toward clarity. I got up from the table, put my mug in the sink. I walked to my living room and sat in my favorite armchair, the one my husband gave me 20 years ago, the one that had witnessed so many nights of me reading, knitting, waiting for Michael to call. I sat there, looking out the window at my small yard. The trees moved in the wind, the birds were singing, life was going on, and for the first time in a long time, I felt something like peace. It wasn't happiness, it wasn't joy, but it was peace. The peace of knowing I had finally drawn a line. The peace of knowing my dignity was worth more than the love of someone who didn't know how to value me. The peace of knowing that for the first time in my life, I had chosen myself. Sometimes we trust the wrong people. Have you ever been disappointed by someone you loved? Tell me your story in the comments. I want to read it. There are memories we keep like perfect photographs. Moments frozen in time where everything was simple, where love didn't hurt, where being a mother was the most natural, beautiful thing in the world. Michael was born on a July morning 32 years ago. It was storming that night, and the sky opened up as if it wanted to wash the whole world clean. The streets of Chicago turned into rivers. The thunder was so loud it shook the windows. I was in bed holding my stomach, feeling the contractions roll through me like waves closer and closer. My husband Robert was running back and forth, nervous, looking for the car keys, the hospital bag, trying to stay calm even though his hands were shaking. "Robert, calm down," I told him between breaths. "We have time." But we didn't have that much time. The contractions got stronger, more frequent. My body knew it was time, even if my mind wasn't ready to face the unknown. Robert helped me down the stairs. The rain soaked us in the few seconds it took to get to the car. He drove like I'd never seen him drive before. Fast, but careful. His hands gripping the steering wheel, the windshield wipers fighting against the downpour. "Hold on, honey. We're almost there." I was in the back, breathing like they taught me in the prenatal classes, counting the seconds between each contraction, watching the city blur past the window. And I just kept thinking, in a few hours, I'm going to meet my son. We got to the hospital at 3 a.m. The nurses were professional but warm. They got me a gown, hooked me up to monitors, checked me. "You're very far along, ma'am. This baby is in a hurry." Robert stayed with me the entire time. He held my hand. He wiped the sweat from my forehead. He told me over and over, "You're doing great. You're amazing." And when the moment finally came to push, when I felt like my body was splitting in two, when the pain was so intense I thought I wouldn't survive, I heard it. The cry. My son's cry. "It's a boy," the doctor announced. "A beautiful, healthy boy." They placed him on my chest. He was wet and wrinkled and perfect. He had his eyes squeezed shut and his little fists clenched. And when I felt his skin against mine, when I heard his tiny, fast breathing, I knew my life had changed forever. "Hello, my love," I whispered. "I'm your mommy." Robert was crying next to me, hugging us both. And in that moment, in that hospital room at 5 a.m, with the rain still beating against the windows, we were the happiest family in the world. We named him Michael after my grandfather, a man from the countryside with calloused hands and a huge heart. A man who fixed everything with patience and never raised his voice, who looked you in the eye when you spoke and made you feel like you were the most important person in the world. "Let him be like him," I told Robert, rocking our newborn son. "Let him be good. Let him be noble. He will be," my husband promised. "With a mother like you, how could he not be?" The first few years were like a dream, difficult, exhausting, but beautiful. Michael was a calm baby. He didn't cry much. He slept well. But when he was awake, he was pure curiosity. He touched everything. He watched everything. He smiled easily. I remember the mornings in our little house. I'd wake up with the sun coming through the window and the sound of Michael stirring in his crib. I'd pick him up, change him, and nurse him, while I watched Chicago wake up outside. Robert left for work early. He owned a small hardware store downtown, a modest but stable business. He'd leave at 6 a.m. and come back at 7 p.m. Tired, but always with a smile for his son. I stayed home with Michael. I wasn't working back then. We were a traditional family. Robert provided. I took care of the home. And I loved it. I loved watching my son grow, watching him learn to sit up, to crawl, to walk. I loved hearing him babble his first words. Mama was the first. Of course it was, because I was the one who was always there. When Michael turned 2, he started helping me in the kitchen. Well, helping is a strong word. He mostly made a mess. He'd stand on a little stool next to me and stir whatever I was cooking. He'd spill flour, get batter on his face, and just laugh. And I'd laugh with him. We made pancakes together. I showed him how to mix the batter, his little hands trying to copy my movements. His pancakes always came out lumpy and crooked, but we cooked them anyway and ate them together, laughing at how imperfect they were. "When you grow up," I told him, "you're going to make the best pancakes in Chicago, like yours, Mommy. Better than mine." The house always smelled like vanilla and cinnamon, like fresh coffee, like home-cooked food, like home. On Sundays, we went to the park, Robert, Michael, and me. We'd bring an old blanket and sit under the trees. Michael would run through the grass, chase pigeons, climb on the playground. Robert and I would watch him from the blanket, holding hands, feeling like we had everything we needed. "We're lucky," Robert used to say. "We are," I'd answer, and we were. Michael grew up, from a baby to a boy, from a boy to a preteen. Every stage had its challenges, but also its joys. When he started elementary school, I was the mom who never missed a meeting, the mom who baked cookies for the bake sale, the mom who helped with the costumes for the school play, the mom who knew all the teachers by name. Michael was a good student. Not top of his class, but dedicated, responsible. We did homework together at the kitchen table. I'd explain math to him even when I barely understood it myself. He'd read me his essays for English class, stories about superheroes, about dinosaurs, about adventures in space. "You're going to be a writer," I'd tell him. "No, Mommy, I'm going to be an engineer, like Uncle." My brother was a civil engineer. Michael admired him. Every time my brother visited, Michael would pepper him with questions. How do bridges get built? Why don't buildings fall down? How does this work? How does that work? And my brother patiently would explain everything. "This kid is going to go far," he'd tell me, and I believed him. The years went by quickly, too quickly. One day Michael was 5 and fit in my arms, and suddenly he was 15 and taller than me. It was in those years that Robert got sick. No, he didn't get sick. He died. Just like that. No warning, no goodbyes. It was a Tuesday in October. I remember the day perfectly because it was completely normal. We ate breakfast together. Robert left for work just like always. He kissed me on the forehead. "See you tonight, honey." But I didn't see him tonight. At 3 p.m, I got a call. It was from the hardware store. "Linda, you need to come to the hospital." "Robert, what happened?" "He had a heart attack. He's at the hospital." The world stopped. I got to the hospital running. Michael was with me. I had gone to get him from school. He was 15. He didn't really understand what was happening yet. A doctor came out to talk to us, a young man with tired eyes. "I'm so sorry. We did everything we could." "What?" "Your husband passed away 20 minutes ago. The heart attack was massive. He didn't suffer." Michael grabbed my arm. "Mom." I didn't know what to say. I didn't know how to tell him his father was gone, that we would never see him again. That our family of 3 was now a family of 2. They let us see him. He was on a gurney. He looked peaceful, asleep. Like at any moment he would open his eyes and say, "What happened? Why are you crying?" But he didn't. Michael walked over slowly. He touched his hand. "Dad." Silence. And then my son, my Michael, this teenager who was almost a man but was still my little boy. He just collapsed. He cried like I hadn't seen him cry since he was a baby. A heartbreaking sob, the cry of someone who just lost their entire world. I hugged him. I held him. I cried with him. And in that moment, I knew everything had changed. The next few days were a fog. The funeral, people coming to give condolences, decisions that had to be made, the money we didn't have, the business that had to be closed. Everything fell apart so fast. I sold the hardware store. I had no choice. I didn't know how to run it. And we needed the money to survive. With that money, we paid off Robert's debts, the funeral, the late bills, and I saved what was left for Michael's education, because my son was going to college. Even if I had to kill myself working, my son was going to have a career. I started working whatever I could. A dental clinic needed someone to clean their offices. It paid very little, but it was something. I started at 5 a.m., cleaning floors, bathrooms, windows. Everything smelled like bleach and disinfectant. My hands became rough. My back started to ache, but I didn't care. At 2 p.m. I left there and went straight to my reception job at another clinic, answering phones, scheduling appointments, smiling at patients even when I was dead tired. I'd get out at 8 p.m., I'd get home, and Michael would already have his homework done. He'd have fixed us something for dinner. He'd be waiting for me. "How was your day, Mom?" "Good, honey." "And yours?" "Good." We'd eat dinner together. We'd talk about the day, his classes, his friends, and in those moments, sitting at our kitchen table, just the two of us alone but together, I felt like we were going to be okay, that everything would work out, because we had each other. Michael graduated from high school with good grades. He applied to several universities. He got into the University of Illinois to study civil engineering. "You did it, honey." I told him with tears in my eyes the day the acceptance letter came. "No, we did it, Mom. You did it." He hugged me tight. "I don't know what I'd do without you." "You'll never have to find out. I'm always going to be here." And I meant it. The college years were hard, but also beautiful. Michael was dedicated. He studied late into the night. I'd see him at the kitchen table, surrounded by books and notes, a cold cup of coffee next to him, completely focused. Sometimes I'd stay up until he finished. I'd make him a snack. We'd sit together in silence. Him exhausted, me tired, but together. "You know what I want to do when I graduate?" he asked me one night. "What? I want to build a bridge, a big one, that connects places, that brings people together." "You're going to do it, honey. I know you will." He smiled. "And when I do, it's going to have your name. The Linda Miller Bridge." I laughed. "Oh, no, you don't. Name it after your father." His expression softened. "Or both. The Robert and Linda Bridge." "That sounds better." On Sundays, we still went to the park. We didn't bring a blanket anymore, and he didn't go on the swings. But we'd walk, we'd talk, we'd enjoy the sun. We were a team, mother and son against the world. Or so I thought. When Michael was in his last year of college, he started talking about leaving, about looking for work in another city, specifically New York City. "There are more opportunities there, Mom." "But it's so far away." "It's not that far. It's just a few hours on a bus." "Michael, you know I support you in everything, but I'm scared of you going." "Why?" "Because you're all I have." He sat next to me. He took my hands. "And you're all I have, but I have to do this, Mom. I have to grow. I have to try." He was right. I knew it. But it still hurt. He graduated with honors. I was at the ceremony, front row, crying with pride, watching him walk across the stage in his cap and gown, watching him get his diploma. I thought about Robert, how he would have been just as proud. I thought about all the sacrifices, all the early mornings cleaning floors, all the sleepless nights, and I thought, it was worth it. It was all worth it. After the ceremony, Michael hugged me. "Thank you, Mom. None of this would have been possible without you." "Always, honey. I will always be here for you." 2 months later, he found a job, a big construction firm in New York City, good salary, good benefits. "You did it," I told him when he gave me the news. "We did it." I helped him with everything. With the security deposit for the apartment, with the basic furniture, with clothes for work. I spent almost all my savings, but I didn't care. It was for my son. The day he left was one of the hardest days of my life. I went with him to the bus terminal. We carried his big suitcase and his backpack. We waited together in the terminal. When they announced his bus, we hugged. "Take care of yourself, honey." "You too, Mom." "Call me when you get there." "I will. And eat well. Don't just live on takeout." "I won't. And don't stay up too late." "Mom, I'm going to be fine." "I know, it's just, I'm going to miss you so much." "Me too." He got on the bus. He found his seat by the window. He waved. I just stood there, on that platform, watching him through the dirty glass of the bus, trying to memorize his face. The bus pulled away. I watched it drive down the street, watched it get smaller and smaller until it disappeared into the traffic. And there, standing in that loud, crowded terminal, I felt completely alone for the first time since Robert died. I got in a taxi and gave my address. The whole way home, I looked out the window without really seeing anything. When I got home, I went inside slowly. Everything was quiet. A heavy, uncomfortable silence. I went to Michael's room. It was empty. The bed was made. The desk was clear. Only a few things he hadn't taken were left. Old posters on the walls. Trophies from high school. I sat on his bed. It still smelled like him. And I cried. I cried because my son was gone, because the house was empty, because I realized I had spent the last 17 years living for him, and now I didn't know how to live for me. But I told myself, it's normal, Linda. Kids grow up, they leave, that's life. And I tried to convince myself it was true. I tried to convince myself this was natural, that I should be proud, that my job as a mother was to prepare him for this moment. But a part of me, a small part I didn't want to admit, felt like something was wrong. That emptiness wasn't just because he was gone. It was something deeper. It was a feeling, a premonition, that things would never be the same again, that the son who promised he would always be there was slowly drifting away in a way I couldn't stop. And I was right. But I didn't know it yet. I was still holding on to the image of the boy who hugged me in the park, the teenager who cried in my arms when his father died, the young man who told me none of this would have been possible without him. I didn't know that son was disappearing into the past, and that the man he was becoming was someone I wouldn't even recognize. As I tell this story, I wonder where you're listening from. Write the name of your city in the comments. The first 3 months were perfect. Well, not perfect, but good enough to keep the hope alive. Michael called me every day, every night to be exact, at 9 o'clock sharp. After he got home from work, after dinner, before bed, my phone would ring, and no matter what I was doing, I answered immediately. "Honey, hi Mom, how was your day?" And we would talk about everything, about nothing, about his job at the construction firm, about the projects he was working on, about his colleagues, about the enormous city that still intimidated him a little. "It's so big, Mom. So many people, so many cars, so much noise. Do you like it?" Yes and no. It's exciting, but it's also exhausting. Sometimes I miss how quiet Chicago is. "You can always come back, honey. Your home is always here." "I know, Mom. Thanks." I'd tell him about my day too, about work at the clinic, about Rose, my lifelong friend who kept asking about him, about the weather, about neighborhood news, simple, ordinary conversations. But to me they meant the world, because they meant we were still connected, that the physical distance hadn't broken our bond. The weekends were harder. The hours stretched on endlessly. I'd wake up on Saturday morning and the house would be silent, a silence that Michael used to fill with his music, his footsteps, his voice. I tried to fill the void with activities. I cleaned the house from top to bottom even though it was already clean. I cooked even if it was just for me. I watched TV without really paying attention. Rose came to visit me almost every Sunday. "Oh, Linda, you need to get out more, meet people. You can't just stay cooped up here waiting for Michael to call." "I'm not cooped up, and I'm not waiting for him to call. I'm just enjoying the peace and quiet." "Peace and quiet," Rose scoffed. "This isn't peace and quiet. It's loneliness." Maybe she was right, but I wasn't ready to admit it. The first subtle change came in the 4th month. One Tuesday, Michael didn't call at 9. I waited until 9:30. Nothing. At 10, I sent him a text. "Is everything okay, honey?" He replied an hour later. "Yeah, Mom, sorry. Lost track of time." "No problem. Want to talk?" "I'm really tired. Can we talk tomorrow?" "Of course, honey. Rest." The next day he did call, but the conversation was shorter, 15 minutes instead of an hour. "Sorry, Mom, I have to finish some stuff for work." "It's okay, honey, don't worry." I believed him. Of course I believed him. It was natural for him to be busy, for work to take over, for him to have less time. But then it went from calling every day to calling every 2 days, and then every 3, and then once a week. The change was gradual but constant, like a tide going out so slowly you don't notice, until you're standing on an empty beach wondering where the ocean went. When we did talk, his voice sounded different, distant, like he was thinking about other things while he was talking to me. "Michael, are you okay? You sound off." "I'm fine, Mom, just tired." "Are you eating well?" "Yes." "Are you getting enough sleep?" "Yes, Mom." "Are you sure everything is okay?" A sigh on the other end. "Yes, Mom, everything is fine. I've just been really busy." "I understand, honey. I don't want to bother you." "You're not bothering me." But his tone said something else. I tried not to be intense, not to call him so much, to wait for him to reach out to me. But the days between calls got longer. 1 week, 2 weeks. There was one time, 18 days passed without us talking. 18 days where I woke up every morning hoping my phone would ring, where I compulsively checked if I had messages, where I wondered if I had done something wrong, if I had overwhelmed him, if I had been too demanding. When he finally called, after those 18 days, I tried to sound casual. "Michael, what a surprise." "Hi, Mom. How have you been?" Good, and you?" "So busy. Work is intense." "So intense you can't call your mother." I said it as a joke, but it came out sharper than I intended, an awkward silence. "I'm sorry, Mom. I've really been swamped." "I get it. It's just, I miss you, honey. I miss talking to you." "I miss you too, but you have to understand my life here is different. I have a lot of responsibilities." "I know. I don't want to pressure you. I just want to hear from you." "And you will. I promise I'll call more often." But he didn't. The calls kept getting further apart, and when we did talk, they were shorter, more superficial. He didn't tell me about his day anymore. He didn't ask about mine. They were functional conversations, like checking a box. "How are you?" "Good." "What have you been up to while working?" "Anything new?" "No." "Well, honey, I'll let you rest." "Okay, Mom. Take care." And we'd hang up. I'd be left holding the phone, feeling something invisible but real breaking between us. It was during one of those brief checking-the-box calls that Michael dropped the bomb. "Oh, Mom, I met someone." My heart skipped a beat, not with alarm, with excitement. A girlfriend. My son had a girlfriend. "Really, honey, that's wonderful. Tell me everything." For the first time in weeks, I heard genuine emotion in his voice. "Her name is Valerie. She's an architect. She works at the same firm." "That's great, honey. What's she like?" "She's incredible, Mom. She's smart, talented, beautiful. She's 28. Michael was 24. She was older, but it didn't matter. "I'm so happy for you, son. Have you been seeing her long?" "About 2 months." 2 months, and he was just now telling me. "And how is it going?" "Really well. Honestly, I'm really happy, Mom. I haven't felt this way in a long time." His happiness was real, and I was happy for him. I truly was, because a mother always wants to see her son happy. "I'd love to meet her, honey." There was a small pause. "Yeah, sure. Sometime." "Sometime." "Yeah, Mom. It's still pretty new. We're just getting to know each other." "But you've been dating for 2 months." "Yeah, but we'll see. I don't want to rush things." I nodded, even though he couldn't see me. "Okay, honey. Whenever you're ready." "Thanks for understanding." "Hey, I gotta go. Okay, Valerie is waiting for me." Valerie is waiting for me. Those 4 words stabbed me in the chest, and I didn't know why. "Okay, honey. Have fun." "Thanks, Mom. I love you." "I love you too." He hung up before I could say anything else. I sat in my armchair looking at the phone, trying to process what just happened. My son had a girlfriend. This was good news. I should be celebrating. So why did I have this knot in my stomach? I tried to convince myself it was just a mother's nerves, that it was natural to worry, but it was more than that. It was the tone of his voice when he talked about her, the way he said, "Valerie is waiting for me," as if she was the most important thing now, as if I had been pushed to second place, or third, or no place at all. The following weeks confirmed my suspicions. Michael barely called. And when he did, every conversation was about Valerie. "Valerie and I went to this restaurant. Valerie showed me this place. Valerie says, Valerie, Valerie, Valerie." I listened. I smiled. I asked the right questions. But on the inside, I felt myself disappearing from his life. I'd send him texts, and it would take hours for him to reply, sometimes days. "Sorry, Mom. I was with Valerie." I tried to get to know her through the little bits Michael shared. From what I gathered, she came from a wealthy family in New York. Her father was also an architect. Her mother was a university professor. She had a younger sister in medical school. A family different from ours. A family with money, with generations of college degrees, with connections, not like us. A family from Chicago, middle class, that became lower class when Robert died, a mother who cleaned floors, and a son who got through college on scholarships. I wondered what Valerie thought of us, of me. I tried not to think like that, not to create stories in my head, but it was hard when Michael shared less and less with me. One day while we were on the phone, I heard a woman's voice in the background. "Michael, are you coming?" "In a minute, babe." "Babe. Is Valerie there?" I asked. "Yeah, Mom, she's here at the apartment." "Oh, I didn't know you were living together." Silence. "We're not. She's just visiting." "I see." Another awkward silence. "Mom, I have to go. Valerie and I are going out." "Of course, honey. Have fun." "Thanks. I'll call you later." But later became an empty promise. The months passed. Michael became more evasive, more distant, more absent. For my 60th birthday, he didn't come. He sent flowers, yellow roses, a dozen. One for every month we had gone without seeing each other. The card said, "Happy birthday, Mom. Sorry I can't be there. Valerie and I are swamped with work. Love you so much. Michael." I stared at those flowers for hours. They were beautiful. Expensive, probably, but they were cold. There was no warmth in them. They were just a reminder that my son was hundreds of miles away, too busy with his new life to come to see his mother for her 60th birthday. My friend Rose organized a small party at my house. She invited a few friends from the neighborhood. We made a big pot of chili. We sang happy birthday. We ate cake. Everyone asked about Michael. "Your son didn't come." "He couldn't. He's so busy with work." "Oh, what a shame. I'm sure he misses you so much." I smiled. I'm sure. But inside, I wondered if that was true. That night, after everyone left, I cleaned up the dishes alone. I put away the leftovers, swept the floor, washed the counters, and when everything was finally clean and tidy, I sat in my armchair with a cup of tea. The yellow roses were in a vase on the table. I stared at them, and for the first time, I let myself think what I had been avoiding for months. My son was pulling away. And I didn't know how to stop it. Worse, I was starting to suspect I couldn't stop it. Because when someone wants to leave, when someone has decided that other things are more important than you, there's nothing you can do. You can only watch them go, and try not to break in the process. The flowers withered over the next few days. The petals turned brown. They fell off one by one. I should have thrown them out. But I left them there, dry, dead, in that vase on my table. A reminder of something I didn't want to accept. That the son I knew, the son who called me every day, the son who told me none of this would be possible without me, that son didn't exist anymore. Or at least, he didn't exist for me. There are moments in life where you force yourself to believe a lie, because the truth is just too painful. Moments where you convince yourself that you are the problem, because it's easier to change yourself than to accept that someone you love is hurting you. I reached that point after my 60th birthday. I sat in my kitchen staring at those dead roses, and I made a decision. It was my fault. Of course it was. I probably called too much. I probably asked too many questions. I was probably one of those intense mothers, the kind that don't know how to let their sons go, the kind that suffocate them. Michael needed space. He needed to build his own life. And I, with my constant need to hear from him, to talk to him, to be part of his world, I was drowning him. That story made sense. It was logical. It's what all the magazines said. Learn to let go of your adult children. Don't be a helicopter mom. So I decided to do exactly that. I stopped calling him, completely. If he wanted to talk to me, he could call. I wasn't going to pressure him anymore. A week passed. I waited. I checked my phone constantly, but I didn't dial his number. Give him space, I told myself. He's busy. He'll call when he can. 2 weeks passed, 3, a month. It was hard to breathe some days. I'd wake up with a weight on my chest, wondering if today would be the day he called. I went to work. I came home. I stared at my phone. Nothing. Rose noticed. Of course she did. "Linda, how long has it been since you talked to Michael?" "A month, more or less." "And why don't you call him?" "Because I'm trying to give him space, not be intense." Rose looked at me with those eyes I'd known for 40 years, the eyes that saw through all my defenses. "Or, are you punishing yourself for needing your son?" Her words hit me hard. "I'm not punishing myself. I'm just respecting his space." "There's a difference between respecting his space and disappearing from his life, Linda." "So what do you want me to do? Call him and bother him, pressure him?" "I want you to stop thinking that needing your son is bothering him." I didn't answer. Rose sighed. "I don't know what's going on with Michael, but I know it's not your fault. You are a loving mother. A good mother. And if he can't see that, that's his problem, not yours." I wanted to believe her. I really did. But it was easier to blame myself. In the 5th week, my phone finally rang. It was Michael. My heart jumped so violently I thought it would come out of my chest. I took 3 deep breaths before answering. I tried to sound casual, as if I hadn't been waiting for this call for 35 days. "Honey." "Hi, Mom. How have you been?" His voice was cheerful, light, as if nothing was wrong, as if we hadn't gone more than a month without speaking. "I'm good, honey. And you?" "Great, great. Actually, I'm calling because I have some news." My heart sped up again. "What is it?" "Valerie and I are getting married." The world stopped. All the background noise disappeared. The ticking of the kitchen clock, the hum of the fridge, the distant bark of a dog. Everything went silent. "Mom, are you there?" Yes, sorry, honey. What a surprise." "A good surprise," I swallowed. Of course it is. Congratulations, honey. I'm so happy for you." Was I happy? I didn't know. I felt so many things at once. I couldn't tell one emotion from another. Joy because my son was happy. Fear because everything was changing too fast. Pain because I barely knew this woman he was going to spend his life with. And a question I was too afraid to ask out loud. "Is there any room for me in this new family you're building?" "Thanks, Mom. I'm really excited." "I can imagine. When is the wedding?" "In 3 months. It's going to be a simple thing, in New York City, just close family and friends." Of course I'll be there." There was a pause, small, but I noticed it. "Great. I'll email you the details." "Email?" "Yeah, Mom. Valerie is organizing everything online. It's just easier that way." "I see." I didn't see it all. "Well, Mom, I gotta go. I have to keep telling people." "You haven't told many people yet. Just Valerie's parents, her sister, a few friends. And you're just telling me now." It slipped out. I didn't mean to sound bitter, but I did. "Mom, please don't start." "I'm not starting anything. I'm just asking." "Well, it sounds like you are. Look, you're important to me, but I have to coordinate with a lot of people. Not everything revolves around you." His words were like a slap. "I'm not saying everything revolves around me." "Then don't take it personally." "How can I not take it personally, Michael? I'm your mother." "Exactly. You're my mother, not my wife. Valerie is my priority now." Silence. A long, heavy silence, full of everything we couldn't say. "Mom, I'm still here. I'm sorry. I didn't mean it like that. It's just, there's a lot of stress with the wedding, a lot of decisions." "I understand." "Do you really?" "Yes, son, I really do. Congratulations to both of you." "Thanks, Mom. That means a lot to me." Did it? I wasn't sure of anything anymore. "I'll send you those wedding details, okay?" "Okay." "I love you, Mom." "I love you too, son." He hung up. I sat in my kitchen with the phone still to my ear, listening to the dial tone, feeling something inside me crack just a little bit more. My son was getting married. to a woman I didn't know, in a wedding that was being planned without me, and I was smiling and saying I was happy, because that's what I was supposed to do. 2 days later, I got the invitation via email. It was elegant, professional, a minimalist design in shades of beige and gold. There was a photo of Michael and Valerie, him, smiling from ear to ear, her, beautiful, in a white dress, perfect makeup, her hair falling over her shoulders. They looked happy, in love. And I felt like an intruder just looking at the picture. The invitation read, "Michael Miller and Valerie Torres request the honor of your presence at the celebration of their marriage." It didn't say, "With love, Michael and Valerie." It didn't say, "We want to share this special day with you." Just, "Request the honor of your presence." Like I was just another guest, like a coworker, like a distant acquaintance, like someone disposable. I printed the invitation. I don't know why. Maybe I needed to see it on paper to feel real. I put it on the fridge with a magnet. For the next few days, I looked at it every time I went to the kitchen, and every time I felt that same knot in my stomach. A week later, I worked up the courage to call Michael. "Honey? Hey, Mom, what's up? I got the invitation." "Oh, good. What did you think?" "Very pretty." "Listen, honey, I wanted to ask you something." "Shoot." Do you think I could meet Valerie before the wedding? I don't know. Maybe we could get coffee or lunch together." "Oh." Silence on his end. It's complicated, Mom." "Complicated?" "Yeah. Valerie and I are running around trying to organize everything, tasting cakes, looking at flowers, talking to the photographer. It's chaos." "I understand, but I thought, maybe that's why I could help. I'm your mother. I'd love to be involved." "Yeah, but Valerie has very clear ideas about how she wants everything, and her mom is helping her organize everything. You know how brides are. They want everything perfect." Valerie's mom was helping, but I wasn't. "I see. We'll have time for you guys to get to know each other after the wedding, right? When things calm down." "I guess so." "Perfect. So, we'll see you at the wedding." "Michael." "Yeah." Can I at least talk to her on the phone, just to introduce myself, congratulate her?" Another awkward pause. "Let me ask her, okay? She's just really stressed, too. I don't want to pressure her." Pressure her. As if I was a burden, a problem, something that caused stress. "It's fine, honey. I don't want to cause problems." "You're not causing problems, Mom. It's just, you know." "No, I didn't know. I gotta go. Have to get back to the planning." "Of course. Take care." "You too." I hung up and stared at the phone. I realized I was shaking. Not from cold, from anger, from frustration, from pain, but mostly from helplessness. Because it didn't matter what I said. It didn't matter what I did. I had been pushed to a supporting role in my son's life, and he didn't even see it. Or worse, he saw it and he didn't care. The days turned into weeks. The weeks turned into months. During that time, Michael called me 3 times. Brief conversations, always in a hurry, always with an excuse to hang up quick. I swallowed my questions, my desire to know more, my need to be involved, because I didn't want to be the intense mother, the problem mother. I wanted to be understanding, patient, respectful, even if it was killing me inside. Rose kept inviting me out, to the movies, for walks, to get lunch, trying to get me out of the house, out of the spiral of thoughts I was sinking into. "Linda, you can't keep this up." "Keep what up?" "This, waiting, swallowing everything, pretending you're fine when you're clearly not." "I am fine." "No, you're not. And it's okay not to be fine. What's not okay is to keep pretending. But pretending was easier than facing the truth. And the truth was too painful. 2 weeks before the wedding, I decided I needed to buy something to wear. I couldn't show up to my son's wedding in just anything. I had to look good, presentable. I went to the mall. I went into several stores. I tried on dresses, blouses, skirts. Nothing looked good. Or rather, nothing made me feel the way I wanted to feel. I wanted to feel important, valued, like the mother of the groom. But every dress I tried on just made me feel invisible. I finally bought a navy blue dress. Elegant, but not flashy. Appropriate for a wedding. Appropriate for just another guest. I also bought new shoes, and I went to the neighborhood salon to get my hair done. "Special occasion?" the stylist asked. "My son's wedding." "Oh, how exciting. Your first son." "My only." "Oh, that's so sweet. I'm sure he's so happy to share this day with you." I smiled. "I'm sure." A lie. It was all a lie. But it was easier to lie to strangers than to admit the truth. The day before the wedding, I took the bus to New York City. Another 12 hours on the road. But this time I wasn't excited. I wasn't imagining beautiful moments. I went with a knot in my stomach, with fear, with the certainty that something was about to go wrong. I arrived early in the morning. Michael had given me the address of a hotel near the wedding venue. Nothing fancy, a simple room in a 3-star hotel. I checked in, went up to the room, dropped my suitcase, sat on the bed, and I let myself cry for a few minutes. Just a few minutes. Because I had to pull myself together. I had to be ready. I had to be strong. The wedding was at 4 in the afternoon, at a garden venue downtown. I arrived at 3. I didn't want to be late, but I didn't want to be the first one there. When I arrived, there were already people, waiters setting up the last few things, musicians tuning their instruments, flowers everywhere. It was beautiful, simple but elegant, and I was just standing at the entrance, feeling completely out of place. I saw Valerie in the distance. She was with a group of women, all laughing, all beautiful, all dressed perfectly. I took a deep breath and walked over. Valerie turned. She looked me up and down. Her eyes paused for just a second too long on my shoes, my dress, my hair. And in that second, I knew exactly what she was thinking. This woman doesn't fit in here. But she smiled, a perfect practice smile. "You must be Linda, Michael's mom." "Yes, it's so nice to finally meet you, Valerie." I moved in to give her a hug. She accepted it, but it was mechanical, no warmth, like hugging someone you were forced to hug. She pulled away fast. "So nice to meet you. Michael has told me so much about you." Had he, I doubted it. "You too. You look beautiful." "Thanks." Awkward silence. "Anyway, excuse me. I have to get back to the guests. You know how it is." And she just left. Just like that. Without asking how I was. Without asking about my trip. Without introducing me to the women she was with. She just left. I stood there, in the middle of that beautiful garden, surrounded by strangers, feeling more alone than ever. I looked for Michael. I found him near the altar talking to some men in suits. He looked nervous, but happy. I walked over. Michael turned. "Mom, you made it." He hugged me. It was a quick hug, the kind you give when people are watching. "Of course I made it, honey. I wouldn't miss this for the world." "I'm glad. Hey, thanks for coming." As if I had a choice not to. "How are you feeling?" "Nervous, excited, everything." "That's normal." "Yeah." One of the men called his name. "Excuse me, Mom. I gotta run. We'll talk later, okay?" "Of course, honey." And he left too. I stood there, alone, again. I looked for my seat. There were name cards. I looked for mine. 3rd row, not the first. Not next to the immediate family. The 3rd, I sat down. I looked around. The 1st row was for Valerie's parents. The 2nd row was for her grandparents and aunts and uncles. Me, the groom's mother. I was in the 3rd row, between distant cousins and family friends, like I was an afterthought. Someone who just wasn't that important. I swallowed. I tried not to cry. It doesn't matter, I told myself. What matters is that Michael is happy. But it did matter. Of course it mattered. The ceremony started. It was beautiful. Michael looked so happy. Valerie looked radiant. When they exchanged vows, I cried. But they weren't just tears of joy. They were tears of grief, because something told me I was losing my son. Not to a new life. I was losing him. To her. After the wedding, everything went silent. Not the peaceful kind of quiet that comforts you, but the deafening kind of silence that constantly reminds you of what you've lost. Michael called me once after they got back from their honeymoon, a week in Cancun, which I saw documented completely on Valerie's social media, photos on the beach, at elegant restaurants, toasting with champagne glasses, smiling, kissing, happy. I liked every photo. I commented things like, "How beautiful," or "Have fun." Valerie never replied to my comments. Not a single one. When Michael finally called, he sounded relaxed, happy. "Hi, Mom. How have you been?" "Good, honey. How was the honeymoon?" "Incredible. Cancun is beautiful. You should go someday." "Maybe." With what money, I wanted to say, but I didn't. "So, what have you been up to?" "The usual. Work, the house." "Nothing special." "That's good." Silence. "Well, Mom, I was just calling to check in. We're organizing the apartment. Valerie brought a lot of stuff and we have to get everything settled." "Of course, honey. Don't worry about it. I'll call you soon, okay? Whenever you can. Take care." "You too." And he hung up. 5 minutes. The conversation lasted 5 minutes. I just looked at the phone, feeling that empty space in my chest get bigger. The days turned into weeks, the weeks into months. Michael called me every 2 or 3 weeks. Brief conversations. Superficial. Always in a hurry. "How are you, Mom?" "Good, honey, and you? How's everything with Valerie?" "Good, good. Everything's calm." "I'm glad. Hey, when are you guys coming to visit? It's been so long." "Soon, Mom. Soon. Soon." That word became an empty promise, a placebo he gave me to keep me quiet. But soon never came. I tried to fill my days. My friend Rose and I signed up for knitting classes at the community center. I learned to make scarves, hats, baby blankets. "Who are those blankets for?" Rose asked me one day. "For when I have grandchildren," I answered without thinking. Rose just looked at me, but she didn't say anything. We both knew that was a long way off, or so I thought. It was on one of those bi-weekly calls that Michael gave me the news. It was a Tuesday night. I was watching TV when my phone rang. I saw his name and my heart did that little jump it always did. "Honey." "Hi, Mom. How are you?" "Good. Is everything okay?" "Yeah, great. Actually, I have some news." Something in his tone alerted me. He sounded excited, nervous, like when he was a kid and had something important to tell me. "What's going on?" "Valerie is pregnant." The world stopped. The television, the hum of the fridge, the traffic outside, everything went silent. "Mom, are you there?" "Yes. Yes, I'm sorry, What did you say?" "Valerie's pregnant. We're going to have a baby." I felt the tears well up, my heart expanding so much it hurt. "Honey, I am so happy." And it was true. I was genuinely happy. I was going to be a grandmother. After all the sacrifices, after all the pain, I was going to have a grandchild. "How far along is she?" 3 months. 3 months, and he was just now telling me. "Why didn't you tell me sooner?" "We wanted to wait, just in case. The first 3 months are the most delicate." I understood, but I didn't understand why he had told other people before me, because I was sure I wasn't the first to know. "And how is Valerie? How is she feeling?" "Tired, but good. She's had some morning sickness, but nothing serious. She's excited." "I can imagine. Do you know what it is yet?" "Not yet. We find out at the next appointment." "How exciting, honey." "Yeah, Mom. I'm really happy. Scared too, but happy." For the first time in months, I heard genuine warmth in his voice. I heard the son I knew, the boy who looked for me when he was scared. "You're going to be a wonderful father, honey." "I hope so." "I know so." A comfortable silence, the kind we hadn't had in a long time. "Hey, Mom." "Yes. Thanks for everything, for always being there." I felt the tears finally spill over. "Always, honey. I will always be here for you. I know." We talked a little more. He told me about their plans, the baby's room, the names they were considering. When we hung up, I sat on my couch, crying. But this time, they were tears of happiness, of hope, thinking that maybe, just maybe, things were changing. That with this baby, Michael would let me be part of his life again. That I could be the grandmother I always dreamed of being. How naive I was. The next few days were the happiest I'd had in months. I told Rose. I told my coworkers. I told the ladies in my knitting group. I'm going to be a grandmother. Everyone congratulated me. I started knitting. A blue blanket in case it was a boy. A pink one in case it was a girl. Then I decided to make a yellow one just to be safe. Every stitch was a prayer, a loving thought for this baby I hadn't met, but already loved with all my heart. I called Michael a few days later. Honey, I'm knitting a blanket for the baby. That's great, Mom. Thanks. And Valerie, can I talk to her? Congratulate her. Ask her what she needs. There was a pause. She's resting right now, but I'll tell her to call you. Promise. I promise. But Valerie never called. I sent her a message on Facebook. Valerie, congratulations on the pregnancy. I am so excited to be a grandmother. If you need anything at all, I'm here. A big hug. She read it. I saw the 2 blue check marks, but she didn't reply. I sent another message a week later. Hi, Valerie. How are you feeling? Hope you're doing well. Sending you a hug. Gal. She read it. She didn't reply. I tried not to take it personally. I told myself she was busy, that the pregnancy had her tired. But something inside me knew that wasn't it. I called Michael again. Honey, I sent Valerie a few messages, but she hasn't answered. Is she okay? Yeah, Mom, she's fine. Just really tired. You know how pregnancy is. Can you just ask her to call me even for 5 minutes? Another awkward silence. Mom, Valerie isn't really a phone person. But she's not answering my texts. Just give her time. She's really sensitive right now with the pregnancy. There was always an excuse, always a reason I couldn't get close. The months passed. I followed Valerie's pregnancy on Facebook. She posted pictures of her bump, the clothes they were buying, the nursery. It was a boy. They were going to name him Mateo, my grandson. Mateo. I commented on every post. How beautiful, I can't wait to meet my Mateo. I love you guys. Valerie never replied, not once. But she replied to comments from her friends, her family. She only ignored mine. I mailed them a package, the blanket I'd knitted, a little teddy bear, a card. The card said, to my future grandson, I can't wait to meet you. I already love you more than words can say. Your grandmother, Linda. 2 weeks passed before I got a text from Michael. Mom, your package arrived. Thanks. The blanket is nice. That was it. Not a picture of Valerie holding it. Not a thank you message from her. Nothing. Just, the blanket is nice. I called Michael. Honey, did Valerie like the blanket? Yeah, Mom, I already texted you. I know, but I thought maybe she would call to thank me. Mom, I told you, she's not very expressive. She's just very tired. The pregnancy has her exhausted. Always the same excuse. Have you been to the prenatal classes? Yeah, Valerie and her mom go together. Valerie and her mom. And you go with them. Sometimes, when I can get off work. I wanted to ask him why I wasn't invited, why Valerie's mom got to be involved, but I didn't. But I was afraid of sounding bitter, of sounding like the problem. So I swallowed it, like I swallowed everything. Hey, honey, when Mateo is born, can I come and meet him? It should have been a ridiculous question, but something told me nothing was obvious with them. Of course, Mom, of course. When, the day he's born, let's just wait and see. Okay, the birth could be complicated. Valerie will need time to recover. I understand, but I can come after. Yes, Mom, we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. Another vague promise. Another way of saying maybe without saying no. Okay, honey. Hey, Mom, I gotta go. Valerie's calling me. Of course. Tell her I said hi. I will. Take care. He hung up. 2 weeks before Mateo was born, I worked up the courage to call Michael. Honey, I need to talk to you. What's up, Mom? I want to be there when Mateo is born. Silence. Mom, we already talked about this. No, we didn't. You said, we'll see. But I need to know. I need to plan. I need to buy my ticket. It's just, I don't think it's a good idea, Mom. I felt the floor drop out from under me. What? Valerie is really nervous, really anxious. The doctors say she needs to be calm. And I won't let her be calm. It's not that. It's just having a lot of people around stresses her out. A lot of people. I'm your mother. I'm the grandmother. I know, Mom, but what Michael? I heard voices in the background, Valerie saying something. Mom, can we talk about this later? No, Michael, please, just tell me the truth. Does Valerie not want me there? A long silence. Too long. She just thinks it would be better to wait a few days. Give us time to settle in, to adjust. And what do you think? I think I have to support my wife. She's the one giving birth. She's the one who's going to be vulnerable. I'm not going to hurt her, Michael. I didn't say you would. Then why can't I come? Because she needs space, Mom. Why can't you understand that? His tone turned defensive, frustrated. I understand, honey. What I don't understand is why Valerie's mom gets to be there, but I don't. Because that's her mom. And you're my mom. It's different. Why is it different? It just is. Mom, stop pushing. Michael. Mom, please don't make this more complicated. I have enough stress right now. Valerie is about to give birth. I have so much work. I'm trying to hold it all together. Can you just once not make this harder? His words hit me like a slap. Make what harder? Wanting to meet my grandson. Yes, that. Because right now is not a good time. And when will be a good time? When I tell you it is. Silence. A cold, hard silence. I understand, I said finally. You do. Yes, son, I understand perfectly. Thank you, Mom. I knew you'd get it. But I didn't get it. I just understood that I was being left out, that after everything, I wasn't important enough to be present. I'll let you know when he's born, okay? Whatever you want. Mom, don't be like that. I'm not being any way, Michael. I'm just respecting what you and Valerie want. Thanks. You're welcome. I love you, Mom. Did he? I wasn't sure what that meant anymore. I love you too, son. I hung up before I started to cry. I cried for that grandson who was about to be born, who I might not meet for weeks, or months, or ever. I cried for the son who had chosen to shut me out, and I cried for me, for the woman who had given everything, and now had nothing, the day my grandson was born. I found out on Facebook. It was a Thursday afternoon. I was at work cleaning the last office, when my phone buzzed. A Facebook notification. It was a post from Valerie. The photo showed a newborn baby, wrapped in a blue hospital blanket. Tiny. Perfect. The caption read, "The love of our lives has arrived. Welcome, Mateo Miller. 6 elves, 8 O's. Mom and baby are healthy and happy." I froze, my hands still on the mop. My grandson was born, and I was finding out on social media, like a stranger. The tears just started falling. My coworker found me. "Linda, what's wrong?" I couldn't speak. I just showed her the phone. My grandson was born. That's wonderful. Why are you crying? I found out on Facebook. Her expression changed. She understood immediately. Oh, Linda. She helped me up. Go home. I'll finish here. I got home in a daze. I sat in my kitchen staring at that photo. He had Michael's nose. He was beautiful, perfect. And I wasn't there. I looked at the comments, hundreds of them. Congratulations. He's beautiful. I saw Valerie's mom had written, "My beautiful grandson, you are the love of my life. Welcome, my angel." She had already met him. Of course she had. She was probably in the delivery room, holding my grandson. All the things I had dreamed of doing. I waited. 1 hour, 2, 3, waiting for Michael to call, to text. Mom, Mateo was born. My phone was silent. At 8 o'clock, I couldn't take it anymore. I called him. It rang 6 times. Mom. He sounded tired but happy. Honey, I saw the photo. Congratulations. A brief silence. Oh, yeah, thanks. How are they? How is Valerie? Good. Tired, but good. It was a long labor, but everything went perfect. I'm so glad. Mateo is beautiful. Thanks, Mom. More silence. He didn't apologize for not calling. He didn't mention the Facebook post. Nothing. Michael, why didn't you call me? I heard him sigh. Sorry, Mom. Everything was a blur. Valerie went into labor at 5 a.m. He was born at 2 p.m. We've just been busy. But you had time to post on Facebook. Valerie did that. Valerie had time to post, but you didn't have time to call your mother. My voice was sharp. Mom, please don't start. I'm not starting anything. I'm just trying to understand why I found out about my grandson's birth on Facebook. I told you it was crazy. So crazy that in 12 hours you couldn't send a 2-word text, Mateo born. I was tired, Mom, but not too tired to tell all of Facebook. Why are you making this a drama? His words hit me. A drama, Michael. I'm your mother. I'm Mateo's grandmother. I'm not a Facebook follower. I deserve more than finding out on social media. You're right. I'm sorry. Okay, I'm sorry. I should have called. But it's done. You know now. Everyone is fine. His apology was automatic. Empty. Can I come meet him? The words came out desperate. Mom, we talked about this. No, you talked. I'm asking. He's born. There's no reason to wait. Valerie just gave birth. She needs to rest. I won't bother her. I just want to see my grandson. 5 minutes. It's not a good time. When will be a good time? I don't know, Mom. Give me a few days. A few days, Michael. He's my grandson. And it's my son, and I need you to respect what I'm asking. His tone was final. And what I need doesn't matter. Of course it matters, but you can't come right now. Why not? Because Valerie doesn't want visitors. There it was. Not even her mother-in-law. She just wants close family. I am close family. Her parents, her sister. And I'm not family. Mom, stop. I'm not arguing about this. I will let you know when you can come. I wouldn't let myself cry. Fine, Michael. Thank you for understanding. But I didn't understand. Take care. You too, Mom. He hung up. For the next 2 weeks, I watched my grandson's life on Facebook. Valerie posted every day, and in several photos. There she was, the other grandmother, Valerie's mom, holding Mateo. The caption read, "With the most loving grandmother in the world. Thanks, Mom, for being here since day one. I couldn't do this without you." I stared at that photo. The other grandmother, holding my grandson, being part of his life, and me, hundreds of miles away, watching through a screen, invisible, irrelevant, forgotten. My friend Rose came to visit. "Linda, this isn't right." "I know." "What did Michael say?" "He says to be patient." "It's been 2 weeks. What can I do, Rose? If I push, they'll shut me out completely." "They already have, Linda. What more can they take from you?" She was right. In the 3rd week, I decided to try one more time. I texted Michael. "Honey, it's been 3 weeks. Please, let me come meet Mateo. I promise I won't bother anyone. I just want to hold him once." He replied 4 hours later. "Let me talk to Valerie." 2 days later. "Mom, You can come this weekend, but only for one day. Valerie is still recovering and doesn't want long visits. One day. Better than nothing. Thank you, honey. I'll be there. I bought the bus ticket immediately. I packed a small bag. I packed the new blanket I knitted. This one had his name on it. Mateo. I got to New York City on Saturday at 8 a.m. I went straight to a public restroom to change and fix my makeup. Michael told me to meet them at Mount Sinai Hospital. Valerie had a checkup with the pediatrician at 9. I got there at 9:15. I found them in the waiting room. Valerie was sitting holding Mateo. Michael was next to her on his phone. My heart was pounding. I walked over slowly. Honey? Michael looked up. His expression was strange. Mom, you're here. He didn't get up. He didn't hug me. I turned to Valerie. She looked me up and down. I saw the judgment in her eyes, but she smiled, a smile that didn't reach her eyes. Linda, glad you could make it. Thank you for letting me come. I looked down at the bundle in her arms. My grandson. He's beautiful, I whispered. Thanks. Can I hold him? Valerie clutched Mateo tighter. He's sleeping. If I move him, he'll wake up and cry. Okay, I can wait. I sat down next to them. The silence was awful. Michael stayed on his phone. Valerie stared straight ahead. 20 minutes passed. Mateo started to stir. Oh, he's waking up, I said, hopeful. Can I hold him now? Valerie pulled him closer. He's hungry. I'm going to feed him. She stood up and walked to the women's restroom before I could say a word. I sat there next to Michael, feeling the humiliation burn. Honey. Yeah. Is everything okay? Yeah, Mom, everything's fine. He wouldn't look at me. Valerie was gone for 30 minutes. When she came out, they called her name for the appointment. She went in with Mateo. Michael stood up and followed her. I was left outside, in the waiting room, like a stranger. I waited for 45 minutes. When they came out, they were talking to the doctor. Neither of them looked at me. I caught up to them in the hallway. How did it go? Good. Mateo is perfect, growing well, Michael said. That's wonderful. Honey, are we going to your house? I'd love to see the apartment. Michael and Valerie exchanged a look. Actually, Mom, Valerie is really tired. We were just going to grab a quick lunch and then head home to rest. I can come with you to lunch. Another look. My family is coming over this afternoon, Valerie said, speaking to me directly for the first time. The house is going to be full. I don't mind. I can meet them. I don't think that's a good idea. It's going to be a lot of people, a lot of noise. It won't be comfortable for you. Comfortable for me. As if she cared about my comfort. I looked at Michael, waiting, hoping he would say, She's my mom. She can stay. He said nothing. He just put his hand on my shoulder. Mom, please, don't make things complicated. Those words again. It's fine, I said. My voice was hollow. I understand. You do? Michael asked, relieved. Yes. Thanks, Mom. I knew you would. We went to a cafe near the hospital. I ordered a sandwich I didn't touch. Valerie fed Mateo at the table, God, covered with a blanket. I wanted so badly to see his face. After an hour, Michael looked at his watch. Mom, it's getting late. We should probably get you to the bus terminal. I had traveled 12 hours. I had been with them for 2, and they were sending me back. So soon. Valerie needs to rest before her family gets here. I nodded. We paid the bill. Michael hailed a cab, and it was there, in the back of that taxi, on the way to the bus terminal, that I finally held my grandson for the first time. 5 minutes. Just 5 minutes. Valerie handed him to me, like she was afraid I'd break him. I took him with trembling hands. He was so small, so perfect. He smelled like milk and new life. His eyes were closed. I touched his little hands. His fingers curled around my index finger. My grandson, my Mateo. I kissed his forehead. Hello, my love, I whispered. I'm your grandmother, Linda. I'm sorry I wasn't here sooner, but I love you. I love you so much. The taxi got to the terminal too fast. We're here, Valerie said, holding out her arms. I looked at Matteo one last time, trying to memorize his face, the weight of him in my arms, and I gave him back. Michael got out with me. He grabbed my suitcase. Thanks for coming, Mom. Of course, honey. He gave me a quick, awkward hug. I'll call you soon. Whenever you can. He got back in the cab. Before he shut the door, he looked at me. Mom, really, thanks for understanding. I didn't answer. The taxi pulled away. I watched it disappear into the traffic. I stood at the entrance to the bus terminal, feeling my world collapse. 12 hours there, 2 hours visiting, 5 minutes with my grandson, 12 hours back. I went inside. I sat on a plastic bench. I pulled out my phone. Valerie had already posted a photo. It was from the cafe. Her and Michael smiling, Matteo between them. The caption, "Perfect morning with my loves." I wasn't in the picture. It was as if I hadn't even been there, as if I didn't exist, and in that moment, I finally understood. They didn't want me in their lives. Valerie would never accept me. And Michael had made his choice. He had chosen her. The bus arrived. I got on. I found my seat. During the whole trip back, I didn't cry. I just stared at my reflection in the dark window. I arrived back in Chicago at dawn. The house was silent, empty. I sat at my kitchen table, and it was right there, sitting in that familiar kitchen, that my life changed forever. My phone rang. New York City. I thought, it's Michael. He regrets it. Hello, Mrs. Linda Miller. It wasn't his voice. Yes. This is Mount Sinai Hospital, the billing department. The script skips the redundant billing call scene, which is already in part 1. 3 days passed before Michael reacted. 3 days of absolute silence. I turned my phone on. 27 missed calls. All from Michael. 15 text messages. Escalating from urgent to desperate to rage. First text. Mom, I need to talk to you. It's urgent. Call me. Third text. Mom, the hospital says you won't pay. What's going on? Call me. Seventh text. Mom, this is serious. I need you to call me now. 10th text. I can't believe you're doing this. Call me. Final text. Valerie was right about you. You were always like this. Selfish. I read that word. Over and over. Selfish. The woman who worked double shifts for years. The woman who cleaned floors smelling like bleach so her son could have a better future. Selfish. There were 2 voicemails. The first, Mom, please call me. The hospital is pressuring us. We need that money. I don't understand why you told them you don't have family here. What does that mean? Call me? The second was colder. You know what, Mom? Forget it. We'll figure out how to pay. But this says a lot about you. After everything. I can't believe you'd do this to us when we need you most. Valerie was right. You've always been manipulative. You always wanted to control me with your money. Well, it doesn't work anymore. I put the phone down. I didn't call back. He kept calling for another week. I didn't answer. Then, an email arrived. Subject, we need to talk. Mom, I don't understand what's happening. Valerie cried. She was so humiliated when the hospital called her directly. We just had a baby. We're trying to adjust. And you do this. Dad always said family supports each other. I always supported you when you needed it. When Dad died, I was there. Now that I need help, this is how you respond. Valerie just wanted a little space. It's normal. And you take it as a personal attack. The hospital is threatening us with legal action. This could affect our credit. All because you decided to play the victim. I hope you reconsider. Think about Matteo, your grandson. This isn't about you or me, it's about him. If you don't want to support us, fine, but have the decency to say it to my face instead of ignoring me. Michael. I read that email 3 times. Every word was designed to make me the villain. And for a minute, it worked. I thought, maybe I was too harsh. But then I reread one part. I always supported you when you needed it. When his father died, I was the one who held him. I was the one who sold the business and worked myself to the bone so he could still go to college. Where was his support when he shut me out of my grandson's birth? Where was it when he gave me 2 hours after a 12-hour trip? Where was it when Valerie treated me like a stranger? There was no support, only excuses. And now, I was the bad guy. I replied to his email. Michael, you're right about one thing. Your father always said family supports each other, but he also said family respects each other. For months, I begged to be part of your life. You told me I was a problem. I traveled 12 hours. You gave me 2. I held my grandson for 5 minutes. You sent me back like I was an inconvenience. You never even called me when he was born. I found out on Facebook. The only time you included me was when you needed money. I am not paying that bill, Michael, not because I don't love you, but because I cannot keep letting you treat me like I only matter when it's convenient for you. I am your mother. I deserve respect. I deserve to be present. I deserve more than being an emergency contact for your debts. I hope you find a way to resolve this. But it will not be at the cost of my dignity. If you ever decide you want a real relationship, one where I matter too, I'll be here. Until then, I wish you the best. Mom. I hit send before I could change my mind. His reply came 2 hours later. I didn't read it until the next day. I can't believe you are this selfish. Valerie was right about you from the beginning. Goodbye. That was it. No reflection. No apology. Just, Valerie was right. And goodbye. The weeks turned into months. Michael never called. He never wrote. I didn't search for him either. At first it was hard. Rose kept me strong. Linda, you did nothing wrong. You set a boundary. That doesn't make you a bad mother. It makes you a woman with dignity. But he's my son. And you are his mother, a mother who deserves respect. Slowly, I learned to live with the silence. I stopped checking Facebook. I stopped torturing myself watching a life I was excluded from. I focused on me. I started reading again. And slowly, I started to feel something like peace. It wasn't happiness, not yet. But it was peace, and it was enough. 6 months after I last spoke to Michael, my phone rang. New York City. This time I wasn't afraid. Hello, Mrs. Linda Miller. Yes. This is Sarah Ruiz. I'm a social worker with the New York Department of Child Services. My blood ran cold. Your daughter-in-law, Valerie Miller, was admitted to the hospital 2 days ago. She had a severe nervous breakdown. She's stable, but we need a family member to take custody of the baby temporarily. The baby? Yes, Mateo. He's about 1.5 years old. Your son is with her, but he can't care for the child and his wife at the same time. He gave us your contact as a secondary family option. Secondary option. Not even the first. Is my son there? Yes, ma'am. Don't put him on. I understand. Ma'am, we urgently need someone to pick up the child. He's in temporary state care, but they can only hold him until tomorrow morning. I closed my eyes. 1.5 years. 1.5 years of building my peace. And now this. What happened to Valerie? It was a collapse from stress, severe anxiety, untreated postpartum depression. She needs rest and psychiatric treatment. And my son, he's with her. The situation is complicated. Apparently he lost his job a few months ago. They've had financial troubles. Their entire world was collapsing, and I was the last resort. Ma'am, I need an answer. Can you come for the child? I thought about Mateo, a little boy who was innocent in all this. I thought about Michael, about how he had treated me, and I thought about me, about the peace I had finally found, and I made a decision. I'm on my way, because he was my grandson, and this time, it would be on my terms. I took the bus that night. When I got to the hospital, Michael was in the waiting room. He looked destroyed. When he saw me, he collapsed. "Mom." He hugged me and just cried, like a child. I didn't say anything. I just held him. "I'm sorry," he wept. "I'm so sorry. You were right about everything." "Where is Mateo?" "At the daycare. 2 blocks away. Let's go." On the way, he told me everything. How he lost his job, how they had to move in with Valerie's parents, how Valerie fell into a deep depression, how everything went to hell. "I treated you so badly, Mom. I pushed you away. I made you invisible. And now, I get it." We got to the daycare. Mateo was in a corner playing with a small truck. When he saw me, he just stared. "Hello, Mateo. I'm your Grandma Linda." I knelt down. He walked over and gave me a small, shy hug, and something inside me healed, just a little. For the next few months, I took care of Mateo. Valerie got out of the hospital 2 weeks later. When she saw me in her home, she cried. "Forgive me. I was so scared. Scared I wasn't good enough. Scared you would judge me, the way my own mother always judged me. And I hurt you." "It's in the past." "No, it's not. But I want to fix it. If you'll give me the chance." I gave her the chance. It wasn't easy. There were hard conversations, tears. I set boundaries, and they respected them. Slowly, we built something new. Not perfect, but real. Michael learned that you don't build a marriage by pushing your family away. Valerie learned that her fears had almost destroyed everything. And I learned that my value didn't depend on how much they needed me, but on how much they respected me. Life has a strange way of finding justice. Michael, who pushed me away, lost his job, his home, his pride. Valerie, who saw me as a threat, collapsed under the weight of her own insecurity. And me, the one they treated as invisible. I became the one who held them up when everything fell apart, not for revenge, but by choice. The next few years changed everything. Michael got a stable job. Valerie continued therapy. I visited often, but always with boundaries. Mateo grew up knowing he had a grandmother who loved him, but who also respected herself. One day Valerie told me, "My mother was never warm. I swore I wouldn't let anyone hurt Mateo. But in the process, I hurt you. Thank you for not giving up on us." And Michael. On the anniversary of that hospital call, he called me. "Mom, that day you said, 'I have no family there.' It destroyed me, but it also woke me up. It was the best thing you could have ever done." Justice didn't come as revenge. It came as lessons. Life collected its debts. It's been 3 years. Mateo is 4.5. He runs to me screaming, "Grandma, I don't beg for hugs anymore. I'm not a second option. I am his grandmother, and it's enough." Michael and I talk every week. Real conversations. Valerie and I aren't best friends. But there is respect, and that's worth more than any fake hug. Last month at Mateo's preschool festival, he ran to me afterward and said, "I love you, Grandma." In that moment, I felt like I belonged, not because I begged for it, but because I had earned my place. This morning I looked at my old leather purse. I took out that old photo of Michael, and I put a new one next to it. The 4 of us, in the park, smiling. They both tell my story. A woman who gave everything, was hurt, learned to let go, and finally found her place. If you're listening to this, I want you to know, it's okay to set boundaries. It's okay to say no. It's okay to walk away from people who don't value you, even if they're family, because loving someone doesn't mean you have to tolerate everything. It also means respecting yourself. For years, I thought being a good mother meant always being available, but I learned that it also means teaching by example, that no one, not even your own son, has the right to treat you like you don't matter. Some endings aren't happy, they're just. Today, at 64, I am happy. Not because everything is perfect, but because my happiness doesn't depend on anyone else. I have my grandson, I have my son, I have an honest relationship, but most of all, I have myself. and that is the most valuable thing of all. Thank you for listening. If this story from Elderly Stories touched your heart, subscribe and hit the bell to hear more stories of women who turned their pain into wisdom. Share this story with someone you love. Sometimes a story like this can change everything. God bless you, and until next time.